So this is what I'm talking about, downsizing. So this wall over here I made a bunch of years ago. Oh, some rinse crooked. Let me fix that. Yeah, I can do that. So too many hammers, too many screwdrivers, too many tools there, too many wrenches, blah, blah, blah. And so I was downsizing, and you can see I got rid of a lot of repetitive wrenches and stuff. So the wrenches was fun because my friend Dave, who lived right over there, moved out a few years back. Him and his wife decided to retire into lives of luxury and move into a nice little condo apartment where they don't have to worry about anything. So he says, I don't need my tools anymore. So he brought me over, it's buried over there, but a huge socket set and some good wrenches. And so I got rid of my no-name wrenches and kept the Craftsman that Dave gave me, because Craftsman back in the day was the epitome of wrenches, in my opinion. I won't say that today, but back in the day. So those are really old school wrenches. Of course I kept them. I got my my metric set beside it. And I downsized all my screwdrivers, only kept the ones I needed. And my side cutters, my vice grips, blah, blah, blah. My stepbrother's needle, those are right there. And yeah, sorry, Mike. Anywho, I came down to the adjustable, and then a lot of people have a love-hate relationship with adjustables. I've always never minded the adjustable wrench. It's always worked for me. I don't know what the big deal is. If you use it properly, you don't have to worry about it. I don't do this for a living, so don't listen to my words. But in the end, I've acquired a bunch of adjustables. And so I'm going to keep this one because it's small. These ones I'm still debating on, but I'm over here. No, it's actually these ones. I'm going to keep the ones with the rubber handle. And these guys come over to the bin. When I moved into the house, this was downstairs, taped or hanging from the furnace pipe. This was the off lever for the gas. So you'd actually have it had a little square nub on it on the valve, and you'd had this. So this was taped or tied to the furnace, and it's been in my garage ever since. We got all that replaced. Then I have these three, which are basically all the same adjustable wrench. So I kept this one, I kept this one, and I was just debating between these three, and I'm going, you know, I'm not going to say anything when it says made in Japan. They make okay stuff. This one made in Canada, that's okay stuff. But I flipped this one over, and I saw that. Of course, I'm going to keep this one. This is the one I'm going to keep. So that's the one that goes up there. If you guys don't know what the letter M means on any kind of tools or implements of destruction in this house, it means they came from my dad. Yeah, I have so many things in this house that came from my dad. My dad's still alive, so I shouldn't be pontificating about all the memories I have. I can still talk to him. I can call him up at the 83 years old. I got that sledgehammer from my dad. Some other things in here. I got this thing from my dad. I get that from Uncle George. I got that from my dad. There are so many things. This is an important one if you want to talk about stuff that's sentimental. Now this is sentimental. This is from my buddy Bill. We work together, and this is the one thing that he taught me how to use properly. He calls it the cat paw. It's very important to stay there. Of course, that's sentimental. Of course, that's for me. Other than that, I can go through this whole shop and point out stuff that I got from other people and stuff that I got for birthdays and Christmases from my beautiful wife. This came from Uncle George. Yeah, it's the hacksaws I got over the years from my parents and other people. I love my wood shop. I cleaned it up. It's all cleaned up now. I'm going to be doing some work in here. Put down the floor, wash the floor again. Love these tiles. I was originally, when I was thinking about painting this floor with all that acrylic paint that they put in those fancy garages, well, the little paint flecks in it that make it look really, really cool. I said, that's great, but it's going to cost $1 billion to do this tiny, tiny floor. And I still will not be able to stand on it for any length of time. Whereas this 3/8 foam rubber, it's been here for well over a decade now. I washed it, so that's why it's wet. And I can stand here in front of the radial arm saw and use the radial arm saw. And I can stand here for extended periods of time without foot fatigue that you get standing on concrete all day. I got that chainsaw from my dad too, by the way. It's the electric chainsaw. I gotta get sharpened. And where am I gonna use a chainsaw? Anyway, I'm having fun cleaning the garage. I was, working so hard at removing a lot of my duplicates, and then I found the big letter M on my adjustable wrench. So that's what I'm keeping. These two will be going into here, and all of that will be going to Value Village. My next downsizing is my socket sets, because as I said, Dave gave me a fantastic again old Craftsman socket set. It's in there somewhere. My Uncle George gave me his socket sets that he used to fix his tractors with and everything on the farm. And I got my own little job mate socket set, which is a piece of crap, but it's got the smaller pieces on it, so that's why I still have it. But that's my next step. So I got my screwdrivers done, I got my wrenches done, I got my hammers done. And by the way, just to make this like the rest of my YouTube channel, when people ask me what's my favorite Lego piece, I will say, right before I turned on the video, it was on. It still works sometimes. There we go. What's going on, CD? There we go. The CD player no longer works. It's been out in the garage for 15 years now. Probably dust and crud are in there. I will show you. Let me see if I can dig it out. I will show you the CD that's still in there if I can, because it's very important to me and Sandy. I have to get a new hinge for my garage door. This one snapped, so that's on my bucket list things to do. Shania. So when I was in here doing all this stuff, our wedding songs on there, I won't say it, I guess it'd be our anniversary songs in there. Anywho, just lovely. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm having a good time cleaning the garage. It's mostly clean now. Yeah, we know what that is. Yeah, we know what those blue boxes over there are. Our camping stuff up there. These things were ubiquitous back in the day. We learned how to make them in cubs, and I got them over there too. We did that when we had our little coping saw, scroll saw. It was fun. We had just got Josh, so we did that. This is one of those little important things that every shop needs, and it's just tiny and basically insignificant, but this is how I verify the accuracy of my saw and making sure they're square. The table saw, again, this came from my Uncle George. I find myself that I find more importance in where I got something, who gave it to me, versus like if there's a scale, everything I got from my parents, everything I got from my Uncle George, everything I got from my buddy Dave, everything that came into this by somebody giving me something is really high quality anyway. So I don't really say, oh, I got this piece from my uncle and I went out and got a better piece, or I had a better piece from a store somewhere else. That's not going to happen. Like I say, the Craftsman stuff that Dave gave me is second to none. I've used those kind of wrench sets many times, and I have all the faith in them. Our neighbor Philip gave me those wreckers, crowbars and stuff. He passed away. He was our direct neighbor, Philip and Avis. Very important people and Sandy's in my life. Well, they welcomed me when I first moved in here over 20 years ago. I guess it's 20 years ago I moved in here, and they were just adorable neighbors to have. So again, I do have stories. Far too many stories. One time at band camp, many years ago, I took the radial arm saw out of, I built this whole workbench for the radial arm saw. So I clean it off and I can have all my stock going across. And the table saw is hidden underneath. That's the cabinet maker saw that my Uncle George gave me. But the radial arm saw, when my dad gave it, or my Uncle George, because my Uncle George had it instead of my dad, but it's my dad's. It was a standalone. It had its own stand, and I wanted to build it into a bench so I could use it. And again, it can fold away, which is nice. So it gets out of the way, and I can use the bench for other things, as you can see. But when I was working on the back deck, cutting up the pressure treated wood, I didn't want to carry all the wood out here to cut. And I didn't have a contractor saw, I had a little 2-foot contractor saw at one point, but I didn't have it when I was doing the deck. And this thing is great for doing 45s and all those combination, whatever. And so I grabbed, because it's not even really bolted, it's just kind of floating here. I put it in the wheelbarrow, again, from my dad. and I carted it out back. And Philip was, I gotta say, over 80 years old. He comes on out and he's helping me, because I had those huge pressure treated 2x10s that are 16 feet long, and the boards 15 16s or whatever, the boards, and he's helping, and he's coming out and helping me, and he's one of these guys, old school guys, where, you know, measure twice, cut once, all that stuff, but also perfection. Like, I don't think that's 45. Let's measure it again, whatever. And so we had a blast out back building the deck, and it was just an enjoyable experience hanging out with Philip for an afternoon. And I'm sad to see him go. I was very sad to see him go, and I was also very sad to see Avis go a couple of years back now, because this is my first house that I ever bought. It was meaningful to me when I bought it, and it still is for me and Sandy. We had Josh here, and we had Friday here, and we've had our lives here, and we get along with the neighbors and everything else. And so my whole life has been community building as a subtext of my life, being there for others and trying to and allowing, and this is the other critical part, allowing others to be there for me. Because a lot of people, I know of so many people in my life, my mom and a billion others, that have no problem whatsoever being there for other people. Like, that's the community I'm involved in, lived in, across the board: church, school, scouts, everything, young people's, work even. We all want to be there for one another. Yet, a lot of us, many of us, the great majority of us, have a tough time allowing people to be there for us. And I get it. So when Philip came over to help on that day, it was meaningful to me. He was very, very, and again, I'm going to say this very, very clearly, even though he was like 80 something years old, he was an actual help. He wasn't just in my way, and I wasn't just humoring him. He was an actual help. He did all this stuff growing up. He grew up in the UK, and he raised 4 kids and all family, and did all the other stuff, and renovated his houses over the years, and did all this stuff. And he was an engineer. He knew stuff. So it was a very pleasant afternoon with him helping. And I'm better for it. I'm better for all the stuff and all the things that I've done with the stuff that people have given me, and the time. Most of it has been time. My uncles taught me how to use this stuff. My dad taught me how to use this stuff. My dad put a skill saw in my hand at the age of 8. You know, and that's something that I think a lot of people in subsequent generations are missing out on. Just the time with one another, the simple one-on-one with a peer or a role model or an exemplar of fantastic stuff, and the knowledge base that we're losing very, very quickly as the boomers disappear and as the older generations pass on and retire and leave. And anyway, I'm not going to go off on that tangent. I'm not, the new generation. The new generation has its pluses, has so many pluses as well. Whereas I'm not going to fall for the other stuff that were the bad parts of the previous generations. So I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I think every generation has its pluses and encouragements and whatever, but I think us Gen X people grew up in the best possible generation that in the 20th and 21st century, is my opinion. But anyway, that's way too long. We're already 14 minutes into this. I'm happy with my garage. It's back. You can see the floor again, which was something. When we were camping a few weekends back, we grabbed some birch branches that were on the ground. Sandy's got some ideas for them. I have to build I got some plywood back there to do something for the layout before Anime North in a couple weeks. So I'm going to be puttering out here over the next 4 or 5 weeks before Anime North in May. And what I'm building is not necessarily quote unquote imperative for Anime North, but it's going to be imperative for Bricks and a Six, and pretty imperative for going out to Montreal, La Belle Provence, in Bricomanie. I can't pronounce it properly, but my friend Dave Sensire is running it. He can probably leave a link below when he watches this video. So I'll be out in Montreal in September, and I want this wood project to be done by then, because it's going to be very, very important for that trip to Montreal in September. So 3 Lego shows coming up, and so I cleaned off the workbench because I have work to do for that, and I have work to do around the house. And you know, I think Sandy and I want to spruce up the deck out back. Yeah, so there you go. That's it. That's all. I want everybody else out there to stay safe, take care, and I will talk to you soon. A very, very quick addendum. This hammer, very, very important. Didn't come from my dad, didn't come from anybody else. I found this hammer scuba diving. My buddy John and I were in the Welland River, Chippewa Creek, and we hopped in at the Chippewa Park there at Niagara Falls, or Niagara River, and we drifted down to the marina. And I found this laying in the dirt, in the muck. I reached down and I pulled it up with a hammer. This has got to be over 30 years ago, and I found this hammer. So yeah, this is I made sure and yeah, I still use it to this day. It doesn't have my initials in one of them. I found another tool. I found a few other tools that I won't get into. Actually, I can actually show you. This one right here. That guy. I found scuba diving too. And I use them all the time in the garage. I won't go into my tools, my garden tools, but I found 2 tools in this garage for scuba diving. I think that's awesome. Everybody stay safe, take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Quick, another addendum. That's 2 for the price of 1. Dad gave me this one. It is a masonry hammer. Not ever going to do some bricklaying in my life. But whilst out for, I don't even know how to explain it. Sandy and me were helping out a neighbor, and the neighbor has the woods behind her house. She doesn't own the property. It is Niagara escarpment property. But out behind her place, we were doing some cleanup, making the view look a little nicer. So way out back, we were doing cleaning up of you know, dead logs and sticks and stuff like that. And I reached down into what was a pile of dirt and stuff, which I thought was interesting. And I thought this was a stick, and I pulled it up, and it's a masonry hammer. And obviously it was left there for a very, very long time. I don't know if it was a little bit of a garbage dump way back in the day for a family or whatever, but this was in a pile that was nowhere near anywhere near civilization. So I said, I'm going to restore that. I just never got around to it yet. But I got my lathe, and I'm going to try to make a new handle for it. I'm going to be like those guys on the YouTubes and the TikToks that restore stuff, so I can get some ideas from them. I'm going to polish it up, clean it up, but right now it sits there. And of course, I don't have a spot up there with my hammers to put that guy. so there they sit. So I'm going to do something with them someday, but I will never, ever, not a bricklayer. So, but it's there. I have them just in case. You guys all stay safe. Take care.